Ever been in love but felt like you were slowly losing your mind? There's a reason, and it's darker than you think. Have you ever watched a relationship die in slow motion? I did. My friends, let's call them Mark and Sarah. To the outside world, they were perfect. Their Instagram was a highlight reel of Tuscan sunsets and perfectly frothed lattes. He adored her. He'd tell me, "She's just electric." No one's ever made me feel this way. But then, the private calls would start. Mark, a man who ran a successful company, a man of logic and decisiveness, would sound like a lost child. "I don't get it," he'd say. "One day she's planning our future. The next, she's distant, cold. She says I should know what I did wrong. But I have no idea." He was in a constant state of anxious confusion. He was working overtime not for his company, but to decipher her. He was trying to find the key to a lock that kept changing. 6 months later, their relationship imploded. Mark was a wreck. Not because he lost her, but because he felt like he had lost his own mind. He was a prisoner who had just realized he was living in a cage with no bars. This is what I call the phantom cage. It's a prison of psychological uncertainty, built not with steel, but with subtle, powerful mind games. And it's one of the most effective and most destructive tools in the arsenal of dark psychology. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on this phenomenon. We're not here to vilify, but to understand. Because understanding is the first step toward freedom. The core principle behind these mind games is something called intermittent reinforcement. You've seen it in casinos. A slot machine doesn't pay out every time. It pays out just often enough, and just unpredictably enough, to keep you pulling that lever, addicted to the possibility of a reward. In a relationship, the payout is affection, approval, or intimacy. When it's given inconsistently hot one day, cold the next, it creates a powerful psychological dependency. The target doesn't walk away. Instead, they work harder. They start trying to figure out the pattern to win the prize, not realizing the pattern is the unpredictability itself. Their brain becomes flooded with dopamine during the highs and cortisol during the lows, creating an addiction cycle that feels just like love. But how is this cage built? It has 3 primary walls. The first wall is the ambiguity anchor. This is the art of the mixed message. It's the "I love you," followed by a sigh of disappointment. It's the enthusiastic yes to a date, followed by a last-minute, vaguely explained cancellation. For example, she might say, "It's so cute how you're so focused on your career." It sounds like a compliment, right? But the word cute is a subtle qualifier. It's a linguistic pat on the head. Is she admiring you or condescending you? You don't know. This ambiguity anchors you in a state of self-doubt. You start replaying her words, searching for their true meaning, giving her immense power over your thoughts long after the conversation is over. The second wall is the emotional debt account. This is a more covert version of what you might know as guilt tripping. A master of this tactic never says, "You owe me." Instead, she makes deposits of sacrifice, real or perceived. "Don't worry about me, I'll just stay in by myself while you go out with your friends," she might say. See what happened? She didn't make a request. She made a statement of her own sacrifice, which creates an emotional "I owe you" in your mind. The next time you want to do something for yourself, you feel a pang of guilt. You feel indebted. You are now making decisions not based on what you want, but on balancing this invisible, unspoken account. She's not controlling your actions. She's controlling the emotional framework from which you act. The third, and perhaps most powerful wall, is the weaponization of silence. The silent treatment isn't just an absence of communication. It is a profound, active statement. It says, "You have ceased to exist for me because your behavior is unacceptable." It triggers a primal fear of abandonment. We are social creatures. Being cast out is one of our deepest terrors. When she withdraws, a man's instinct is often not to get angry, but to panic. He scrambles to repair the connection. He apologizes, often without even knowing what he did wrong. Think of it like this. She has created a stage and validation is the spotlight. The moment he does something she dislikes, she simply turns the spotlight off. He is left alone in the dark and will do almost anything to get back into that warm, validating light. He gives up his position, his argument, his boundaries, just to end the silence. This is not compromise. This is surrender, ambiguity, debt, silence. These are not random acts of drama. They are tactical maneuvers in a battle for control. The goal is to make you, the target, question your own perception of reality. Psychologists call this gaslighting. I call it soul stealing. It makes you believe that the problem isn't the game. The problem is your inability to play it correctly. So here is the thought I want to leave you with. We often believe that the opposite of love is hate. But in the realm of psychological power, this is false. The opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference. Hate is still an engagement. It's a fiery, passionate connection. Mind games, however, operate in a different spectrum entirely. The game is not about love or hate. It is about turning another human being into a predictable, controllable object. The goal is to make you so busy trying to please, decipher, and appease that you forget to ask the one question that can set you free. Is this relationship about connection, or is it about control? When you can tell the difference, you haven't just learned a secret about mind games. You've reclaimed the keys to your own mind. And that is a freedom no cage, phantom, or otherwise can ever contain.